teenagers. Please welcome to the stage Asmi Majumdar.
The definition of character is the way someone thinks, feels, and behaves. But my real question for you today is that how does a separate individual get to decide how the way you think, feel, and behave? I mean, I think I know that we've all been there. We've all been looked down upon at several points in our lives, and even looked down at others. It's human nature, and we just can't seem to ignore it. However, my second question for you today is that at which point in your life has that ever bothered you? Yes, you're right. It was when you were a teenager. Everybody in this whole wide world has experienced some type of fear of judgment in different forms, no matter how confident you are or how self-righteous you are. It always comes back to you. It's the biting of the inside of your cheek when you're nervous. It's the stiffening of your spine when you overhear someone talking about you. And it's the bitter taste of disappointment when you fail to live up to a certain expectation. The whole dilemma depends on whether you choose to deal with it or let it consume you for the rest of your life. People my age decide to judge other people based on literally everything. Some of the more common examples are facial features and body weight. For me, these are the two things that started the horrendous train of insecurities which we're gonna follow. Okay, so let's rewind to 2021 when I first started my school in Shanghai. I remember as I stepped into that classroom, my first thought was, oh my God, I forgot to brush my hair today. Why? Because I knew that every single eye in that classroom was on me. So I immediately became uncomfortable and started to overthink, even though I knew that my hair was fine. My tie was straight, and my shirt was tucked in. Or maybe it was one of those times when I was hanging out with my friends, having dinner, having fun, you know, and we just finished taking a group selfie when I just realized I just looked 10 times bigger and bulkier out of all of them and just looked out of place. So you know when you're a 12-year-old and these thoughts start occurring to you, they stay for a while. So I'm sure you can imagine what that feels like. But, you know, this is not the end. For the course of the next 2 years, I had this whole phase about wearing the baggiest clothes. Baggy shirts, baggy jeans, baggy jackets, you name it, so I could hide my body and my feelings in a certain way. But it was not because I was insecure, no, never. I think I look fine. It was because I had that constant, terrifying voice going on in my head about how much she might think or he might think, or how about they get noticed and get a bit weirded out that my left eye is a bit bigger than my right. So I was always worried. But to get through this, the entire credit goes towards my mother. Every single time I mentioned something going off about my hair, up in a ponytail, she would always say the one thing which is engraved into my mind. You never really know what the other person's thinking when they look at you. But one positive gain I got from this experience was that I learned about the power of vulnerability. Many people seem to assume that the resolution to these travails are to build up walls around your heart. But through my maladies, I realized that showcasing your vulnerability requires tremendous courage. So I let go of the perfection, I let go of the pretension, I let go of everything that kept me holding back. And it empowered me. So I now have the capability to say, this is who I was meant to be, not who you want me to be. There are various different kinds of fear of judgments. It can most definitely apply in academics. Have you ever had that one special kind of embarrassment when your math teacher suddenly calls upon you to give an answer to a question which requires mental math straight on the spot? Since everyone's expecting you to give the answer straight away, it gives you a spike of panic, and you suddenly can't answer it, and everyone's going to shake their heads at you and laugh. But what people can't seem to understand is that this emotion just consumes you at that point of time, and your brain's suddenly paralyzed, and you just can't answer it. You are already thinking about what they're thinking of you, whether it's subconsciously or knowingly. You also know in the back of your mind that these thoughts are kind of irrational because, after 10 seconds, they're just going to go about their own lives, but you're still stuck here. Think about those 5 minutes. Alas, to get through this, I developed a concept I'm sure you've all heard of and probably sick of hearing. Something known as a growth mindset. When someone with a growth mindset experiences the fear, they don't avoid it. They embrace it. So what if that person got a higher grade than me? Maybe I'm not even going to major in that subject. Or maybe that subject's their specialty and mine's different. For example, I'm going to major in medicine and they're going to law. So I think one test score doesn't determine your self-worth. When someone with a growth mindset experiences failure, they see it as a step in their long journey towards progress. Now, let me give you one last example. 1 in 4 individuals have reported feeling extreme anxiety while showcasing their ideas to the wider public, especially on stage. Now, there are various reasons why. It could be from mispronouncing a word while reading out loud in English class, to forgetting an important key quote in the middle of your talk. All those people only have that stage fright because they go home with the knowledge that they just humiliated themselves in front of a crowd full of people, and especially in front of people they hope to impress. Now, they will go home with that knowledge, and they will think about that right before they go to sleep. And as soon as it's time for them to give another presentation, they will believe the misconception that they are incapable of giving a proper talk. So, what will they do? You all know the answer. They will say that they simply can't do it and get someone else to do it for them. It's what I've done sometimes, and I'm not embarrassed of it. But then you might ask me, well, she's being hypocritical, why is she here then? Well, I know the answer to that question very well, because I know that coming here onto the stage, I'm going to be petrified of what you're all going to think of me. I mean, let's be for real. This is a huge stage, and you're a huge audience. Of course I'm going to be horrified. But it was always about how I handled it. I handled it by knowing that coming here, I was going to talk about a topic which is very personal and very of value to me. And speaking and showcasing that to an audience who is actually willing to learn is of very, very significance of me. Because the want to be heard completely overshadows the fear of being judged. Now, let me share one last story. I'm sure you've all heard of this, but just humor me for 1 second. Think of life as a movie. In my movie, who's the main character? Me. Who's our side character? Everybody else. Now, in your movie, who's the main character? You. Who are all the side characters? Everybody else. Everyone thinks that all the lights and camera action are on them, but instead, it's the same for everybody else. Everyone's too worried to be worrying about themselves, to be concerned over you. So frankly speaking, my advice to you will be, get your act together.